everybody, and welcome to the Scott Show. This is Scott here. We are talking sports. We are talking UFC. This is our first ever UFC show, and so we're going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen with UFC 217, a few of the champion conversations, and then what's going to happen in the future, because there's lots of exciting future for UFC. I do want to thank my cousin David coming up with the idea to talk about UFC, and tonight is a great night to do so since it is a big-time match. 217, they are in New York City, Madison Square Garden. Of course, the main event, Michael Bisping against Georges St. Pierre. GSP coming back after 4 years of being out. And, he's going to put some butts in some seats. I mean, this is going to be a big deal. He is a former two-time UFC welterweight champion. However, this is for the middleweight championship. And it's going to be an interesting fight. I'm going to say GSP is going to win this fight. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a long night for both men. In the bantamweight championship match, you got Cody Garbrandt against TJ Dillashaw. Sorry. And just because I messed up his name, now I'm going to have to pick him to win. Dillashaw is probably the better fighter, I think. And both of them are actually coming off of injury. So I'm going to say Dillashaw, but I mean, hey, it just matters what you pick as far as what hurts, and that's how it goes. And then you have the women's strawweight match. You have the champion, Joanna, against Rose. I don't want to try to pronounce either one of these last names. I think Joanna's last name is Juracek, and Rose is, I'm not even going to try it. But I'm not going to try it because I don't think that she's going to be too much of a burden on the champ. I'm probably the best women's champ out there right now. This woman is unbelievable in the way that she fights. So I'm going to go ahead and pick her for sure, Joanna, cleaning house on the UFC championship matches. Now, I want to talk about those are the three big matches, the big title matches for tonight as they're in Madison Square Garden. The next show is UFC 218, and let's see who's on the card for that. I do apologize, my computer just messed up a little bit. We do have a fight night coming up as well. They do have fight nights and Fox shows on Fox and stuff like that. They do have a fight night coming up. It's November 19th. It's actually Wardrum against Tybera, and these two guys are heavyweights, and that's the reason I bring it up. Is Wardrum is a former champion and now fighting on a fight night. I don't understand that. Ultimate Fighter is going to be crowning a new world champion in the women's flyweight division. I thought that would be kind of interesting. And then UFC 2018, December 2nd, the next time they will be on pay-per-view. Holloway versus Freddie Egger. And Alistair Overeem against Francis. That one is hard to pronounce. So I'm not going to try again. And it looks like there's some interesting fights coming up here at 2018 and 2017 as well. Now the champions are yet another group that I would like to talk about. Since I guys got you here, talking about what's going on. So we do have our strawweight match that's coming up here in a very short time with Juracek fighting tonight at 2017. It's a 115-pound strawweight champion, and she's probably the best women's champion out there right now. And no offense to the other ones, but I think she's the best one. Flyweight for Demarius Johnson, who actually has 11 defenses, most defenses ever in history of UFC, I believe. And he has been champion since 2012. He's been a fighting champion, too. The bantamweight, of course, I did tell you guys that Cody Garbrandt is going to be fighting tonight against Dillashaw. I think we're in the mood for a new champion there. And Amanda Nunes is the champion of the bantamweight division, women's bantamweight division. That would be well known because of the fact that she defeated Ronda Rousey, because she defeated, she beat Holly Holm for the championship, or however that worked out. So I'm gonna have to take a peek here. She defeated, I think she actually defeated Tate for the championship. I'm gonna have to look. I gotta get my U.S. my history here. Okay, Miesha Tate defeated Holly Holm. Holly Holm defeated Ronda Rousey. So there you go. Now, the idea that Amanda Nunes is the champion, she did last fight on September 9th. She fought Valentina Shevchenko in an interesting fight. I'm not going to say anything bad about it. It wasn't the best. Bantamweight was normally held heavy by Ronda Rousey. And now Amanda Nunes is the champion, and she might have some competition coming up here soon. Max Holloway is the featherweight champion, and Cyborg is the featherweight champion on the women's side. Conor McGregor, the light heavyweight champion, you guys might know him from his getting beat by Floyd Money Mayweather in a boxing match when he's an Ultimate Fighter. So Conor McGregor coming back. Who's he going to fight? Who knows? It might be pretty interesting. Tyron Woodley is the welterweight champion, and Michael Bisping is the middleweight champion. Daniel Cormier is the light heavyweight champion. Of course, he lost to John Jones, but John Jones got in trouble for drugs again. And Stipe is the heavyweight champion, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name either, but he's the heavyweight champion. And let's see who he fights next, or when he fights next. I would love to see heavyweights fight again and be a bigger deal. I know that even in boxing they're not that big of a deal. May 13th he fought Junior Dos Santos, and let's hope that he gets a good fight coming up here soon for the heavyweight championship of the UFC. UFC has fell down a little bit after losing McGregor for most of the year because of his boxing prowess, and then losing Ronda Rousey. I think the UFC is in a little bit of trouble, but they can bounce back and make things happen. So we'll see what happens with the UFC fighters. This 217 is going to be big. And it is in New York. GSP putting some butts in the seats. So we'll see what happens with the UFC. And I'm hoping that we have more frequent title defenses. I'm just glad that we have a UFC that is bigger. And then, we have little leagues around there like Invicta and Bellator and all those other ones. But, UFC is the main league. Kind of like the WWE in wrestling. Boxing doesn't have that. I wish boxing did have that. We have 3 heavyweight champions right now, maybe even 4. I would just love to see it come back to we have 1 champion and here you go. So that's my little piece of the puzzle there. So like, share, subscribe here on the Scott Show podcast, the 102550 pages that we're on. We work on ending homelessness and poverty. We do these podcasts because of it. So I want to thank you guys so much, and we'll see you real soon here on the Scott Show podcast.